Okay, should we start?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Start. You can start, sir. No problem.
Okay, so welcome all of you in the second day. So today what we'll cover, the last day we'll talk about the course outcome and the curriculum structure, okay? So mission, vision, program, educational outcome, all kinds of things. So today we'll talk about the course outcome and how do you design the outcome-based curriculum. Okay, so let's first go through that how do you design outcome-based curriculum. Actually, as an individual teacher, that whether you are applied for NBA or doesn't matter, but for effective teaching, you have to use outcome-based curricula for effective teaching. If you see that after this COVID infection and all kind of lockdown and everything, people are saying online learning, online learning, online learning. Some teachers are giving lecture in online, sitting there, and students are also taking notes. But in most of the cases, what students are doing, okay, it is on and students are not enjoying that lecture. That means, even as a teacher, whether you deliver your information synchronous or asynchronous doesn't matter. Delivery of the information is not teaching. Most of the cases in school level and school education, it is delivery of information, because that education up to class 8, the education system is different. After class 8, it is called need-based learning. That student want to learn, that's why they are learning. But up to class 8, student has to push for learning. So after class 8, class 9 students, if I delivering information which is already exists in the book, then student will become bored. So as a teacher, I have to do more rather than delivering information. So what more I have to do? In a classroom scenario, yes, we can do interaction, but if it is online mode, interaction is very problematic. So what should we do in my classroom teaching, or what kind of change I should make in my classroom teaching so that my teaching becomes effective? So that's why we are called that can we use outcome-based education in this scenario? So how do we use outcome-based education in classroom teaching? So outcome-based education is not only for your accreditation requirement or your course requirement, not like that. Outcome-based education is required for effective teaching in classroom mode also. So in outcome-based education, you have to develop your outcome curricula. So how do you develop outcome-based curricula? There is a software which is available online, which is developed by IIT Kharagpur, and it is available freely available to everybody, where you can develop your own course in outcome-based manner. I'll show you that software first. So if you see, this is the software. This is called www.id.iitkgp.ac.in. This is the web address. Visible? Web address is visible, I think so. So www.id.iitkgp.ac.in is the web address, where anybody can develop his own course in outcome-based curriculum. Or entire institute can develop the outcome-based curricula for whole institute, not only for a particular program, for entire institute. How do you develop? You go to the institute registration, then registered your institute. So suppose I can say the Dumka Engineering College. Let's say write ENGC. Later on you can modify Dumka Engineering College. Then one institute representative of Dumka, let's I given a the let's I am the institute coordinator. Then this is email ID. This email ID use this is password protected because your institute course structure should not be seen by the other institute. So during the development, this whole thing is password protected, and institute representative is required because anybody can register Dumka Engineering College. So then it will very confusing which one is actually Dumka Engineering College people are doing. So more Dumka Engineering institute registration is not effective. So that's why some person from your institute would act as an institute representative. He registered that institute and create a password and write down the mission, vision of the institute and submit.
Sir, are you there?
I think there is having internet issue or something like that. So we just request our participant to please stay connected.
Sir, you can unmute yourself. Sir, you can unmute yourself.
You have given code to another person, Sam.
Okay. Wait.
Sir, I think Sir is not there.
Yeah, sir there.
Sir
there.
has joined.
Done.
Yes, sir. Sir has
Okay.
joined.
Okay, so you can after issue is done. So if you see, I can search that Control F Dumka. Dumka Engineering College already one is there, but which one is I have registered? ENGG. Dumka, let's say.
SDM said. Here.
Dumka. This one, okay? So here institute is registered. Now under the institute there is a called program. Okay, add program. Let's say that the ECE is my program. Okay, I can write down program educational objective or outcome. Then I have to provide the institute representative password. Submit. So your program is successfully registered. So under this program, I have to go for the course. So ECE as a program, under ECE, one course is called acoustics. Okay, let's principal developer is myself, and I have to create my password. So after this program is created by an institute representative, all of the faculty members for respective program can register their course by themselves with a password protection. Sorry, this is email ID. Okay, gmail.com and password. So this, you have to remember this password and email ID during your course development, and contact number, provide a number, and then whether core, UG, PG, and submit. Once you submit, your course is registered. Okay, acoustic course is registered. Click on acoustic course. It will show you a course development page. In the course development page, you have to provide your email ID and password. Once you log in, you can see there is a course acoustics. There is a course overview. What is course overview? You have to write course overview. Most of us write course overview as if that course overview means what I will cover in the course. But that is not exactly course overview. It is not exact course overview what we want. The course overview is not only what you cover in the course. Course overview also includes how you motivate the students to take your course. Suppose you take a course on engineering mechanics. So how do you motivate the student to read engineering mechanics? Can you write one paragraph so that after reading that paragraph, student will be motivated to take the course on engineering mechanics? That is the requirement. So one paragraph on how you motivate the student take that course, and one paragraph on coverage of the course. That is called course overview. Then there is a course objective. So what is course objective? This course objective is course instructional objective. That's why it has to be written in outcome based manner. This objective actually the course outcome. So course outcome means at the end of the course, what students will able to do. That is called course outcome. So how do you write course outcome? Since most of the theoretical course are only for cognitive skill development, that's why if you see here Bloom's taxonomy cognitive level is given. The purpose of theoretical class is Bloom's taxonomy cognitive skill development. So we are talking about the cognitive skill. So that's why all cognitive taxonomy cognitive skill levels are included here. Suppose as a teacher you do not know what is Bloom's taxonomy, what is their coverage, nothing is required. You teach a course on acoustics. Okay, so what is your acoustic course outcome? This is your course outcome. I just copy a course outcome and paste it there so that you can understand. So suppose this is my course outcome. Okay, so if you see the course outcome, is it audible to everybody? Okay, so if it is the course outcome, then think about every outcome must have a performance component. Performance component means it has to be at least one action verb. Performance means doing what learner will able to do. So if I say learner will able to do, that means there will be some verb. If it is written in English, so there will be some English verbs. But all English verbs are not taxonomy action verbs. The English verbs which are measurable are called taxonomy action verbs. So if I see this whole outcome, here if you see there is two verbs, one is list, another one is design. Suppose as a teacher I do not know what is the cognitive level of list action verbs. So I'll click here all and go for L. Level list. What is showing? The list is knowledge level. Okay. Then there is action verb design. So I go for all and then go for D, deduce, design. What is the cognitive level? Synthesis. Which one is the highest? Synthesis is the highest because it is started from knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. So if it is synthesis is the highest, I have to tag this outcome as a synthesis. I will tag it synthesis. I have to click on design and I have to submit. Once you submit, your outcome is written. So that way you have to enter one by one course outcome, the subject, whatever you taught, that subject. Course means subject. So for your subject, you have to write down your course outcome. Once you write down your course outcome, then a course is divided in several modules. Module is nothing but a chapter. So you can give a chapter name. So let's introduction to acoustics is my chapter name. I can add it. Once I add the chapter, there will be a chapter or module overview. Again, what the module will cover or how this is required for your course. Then once you know that module overview, then you write down the module outcome or module objective. The same way, whatever I have write down the course outcome, I have to write down the module outcome. Procedure is same, but the difference is that course outcome is the after completion of the entire course, what students will able to do. Module outcomes are after end of the module, what students will able to do. So this is the difference. Okay. Then every module is consist of a unit. Unit means lectures. So you can add lectures. Let's L1 add lectures. Once you add lecture, you can add lecture summary. You can write down lecture outcome or lecture objective. You can write down lecture level problem. So lecture summary means that for this lecture, what is the summary of the lecture? Maybe 2 pages. Then what is the outcome of the lecture? And every outcome must be linked with the problem. If I write one outcome here, let's say write like this and apply. If I write one outcome here, apply and submit, then for unit level, I have to provide at least one problem which caters to that outcome. So I let these problems cater to these outcomes, then submit. So that way you have to develop the entire curriculum. Not only the course outcome, you have to develop the module name, module outcome, module level problem, unit lecture level problem, lecture summary, and lecture outcome. So once you develop the entire curricula, it will look like this. So if it will publish, it will look like this. So course overview, course outcome, course level test item, module overview, module outcome, module test item, module learning strategy. Module learning strategy means if I want to learn this module, which book, which chapter I have to read, which NPTEL video, what time to what time I have to watch. So the specific material link will be provided on that. Okay? Then module, then there will be a lecture. So every lecture there will be if you see a lecture on source, so lecture summary, lecture outcome, lecture level problem, you can add lecture video also. Understand? So suppose you have developed this entire curricula and give it to the students before you come to the class. It is very much required for engineering students. So you are giving this entire course structure to the students before you come to the class. Okay? Now before you come to the class, if you give it to the students, then and instruct the student to come prepare with this class. They have to come with preparedness. So what I'm saying, none of the student can complain you, sir, I do not know what you will cover in the next class. That's why I have never read in the hostels or in home. So you instruct the students, tomorrow I take the lecture 1. So lecture 1 summary is given, outcome is given, problem is given, come prepare with the class. Once they come with their preparation in the class, then what you will do in the class? Instead of delivering information, you make the class more interactive, which is called flip teaching or collaborative learning. All of you know flip teaching. Flip teaching means student will teach, teacher will sit. Not like that. What you do in the flip teaching? Here I am saying the class outcome is given, class summary is given, class level problem is given. Now, as a student, you have to come prepared with the class, and in the class, as a teacher, I will only cover the main concept, and as a teacher, I will write a problem related to the class outcome and ask the students to solve it. Or I can ask the students one question and then same question I can ask, if somebody said, yes sir, I know it. I ask the student to explain it in the blackboard. So what I'm doing, I'm making much more interaction in the class. So class become interactive. Instead of static class, it's become interactive. Once your class become interactive, then you can say, yes, I am not only developing their domain knowledge, but also developing their domain independent knowledge, like communication skill, teamwork, self-learning, lifelong learning, all those things. So I'm saying what teaching learning process itself developing my domain independent outcome. Next question is skill. Since the outcome are describing the skill to acquired by the students, so I am dealing with the student skill development. Third problem, continuous improvement of the curricula. If you see, suppose I am teaching a course on data structure and algorithm, and I write down the outcome. Anybody of outside can add comment. So some person working in the TCS said data structure and algorithm, this kind of skill is not required. Better include this kind of skill. So my curricula is completely updated day by day. So continuous upgradation of the curricula. Some TCS person sitting or somebody sitting in the our industry can say that, sir, this kind of simulation packages are very useful for teach this module. They can add it. Course level problem. Somebody can say, sir, this is the best test item for test this kind of outcome. So anybody can add test item also in the software. So it is continuously improvement of the curricula is covered. Is clear? So what I'm saying in the first class, first slide, what I said, student engagement is increased. Student skill is developed. Continuous improvement of the curricula, yes, I can do it. Large classroom, large class. So I'm saying the entire curricula is given to the students before they come to the class. So in a class, if the student is a slow learner, he may require entire 6 months. Student maybe have a very fast learner, he can achieve it by 4 months and ask the teacher for the better resources, a better problem. So as a teacher, I am scattered to all kinds of students, not only good students, bad students, mediocre students. So virtually I am creating more, I am allowing students to achieve the goal by their own space. I am not imposing that you have to attend this class, you have to learn this class within 1 hour. I am not saying that. I am saying this is your entire curriculum. You can achieve it by 6 months, but if you achieve it by 4 months, then I am available to guide you for better kind of resources. So this your curricula is the minimum requirement as per NBA quality. So I am maintaining the minimum requirement. There may be a very good students who can excel in that part. Doesn't matter. So large classroom scenario I have solved. Now I come for the examination system for reinforcement of teaching learning. I cover how this examination system will reinforce the teaching and learning. Management, this is a very good software for your solving the multi-section class. As a management, maybe your institute director facing this problem, there may be a course which is taken by several teachers. Let's engineering mechanics, taken by 5 teachers of the 5 sections. One section saying, oh, this teacher is good, and another section saying, oh, this sir is useless, so why should we deprive? All kinds of problems. Think about, you develop your entire curricula in this framework, involving those 5 teachers together, and give it to the all students of all sections. And instruct them, read it. I said, some teachers are very good in some module. So that teacher can teach that module in all sections. Some teacher is a very good motivator. He can take first lecture in the for motivation purpose. Some teacher is a very good problem solver. He can take the very tutorial classes. But every student know what they have to achieve. Every student know what kind of problem they have to solve. Most of the time you have seen the most of the students are come to the class before the exam, goes to the library and find out the last 5-year questions and try to predict what kind of questions will come in the next year. So what basically they are trying to understand what the teacher's outcome. So instead of doing that, now students know what kind of question will come in the exam. So your assessment is very much systematic once you develop the entire curriculum. So tomorrow starts all of you, you have to, one of you has to act as a institute representative, registered your Dumka Engineering College. Maybe there are 2 already registration is there. You can use any one of those registration also and enter all the program by the institute representative. And all of you, whoever the participant of this workshop, all of you has to enter your course outcome in the portal, so that tomorrow I'll open one by one and discuss what you have written. Is it clear? So this is your home task. All of you has to write down your course outcome, at least course outcome and name of the module of your course. So that tomorrow when I take the class, I'll open one by one course and discuss few course. I'll discuss that what is correct and what is not correct. Okay, so this is the home task for all of you. Okay, so now I come to the again, so that so I can say that this development, this outcome-based curricula is not only for MBA. This is for your effective teaching. Once you've done it, see that tremendous amount of job is already done. Tomorrow you have, what is today happening? Tomorrow I have a lecture on some topic. Hurriedly you search Google, create a PPT and deliver the PPT in the class. So that will go. You do not have to think what will cover tomorrow. It will act as a teacher training software for management also. For your institute, once you develop for all courses and housed in a website, continuous improvement will come from different people. And it doesn't depend on the teachers. Whoever the teaches, the course coverage will remain same. Today, what will happen? You have a syllabus. Syllabus means list of topics. Now, when I am teaching the course, I may be very good in some topic and very shaky knowledge in some topic. What I will do? I will cover maximum time where I have that knowledge, but I will cover less time where I do not have the knowledge. But it is not that that portion is not required by the BTech student. They have required that portion also. So this outcome-based curricula ensure that all students have achieved the minimum quality requirement. And it doesn't depend on whether teacher teach it, whether teacher not teach it, doesn't matter. As a learner, you have to achieve it at the end of the course. Is it clear? Now I just stop this sharing. I again go for the PPT. Now I come to your business that you may require. This I'll cover tomorrow. That program matrix, course matrix. Okay or not? Course matrix. So what is course matrix? So suppose I have written down this is my course. Course outcome. Course outcome 1, 2, 3. Is it visible to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is my course outcome. Say this is my 3 course outcome. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay. Now what I said, every outcome must be specific, measurable, and achievable.
Acha.
And student must able to do it after. If you see the first outcome, given the specification of an
সেটা আপনার বুঝবেন আমি কোন ব্যাপারে কিসের কি রিলেটেড
yes, determine the reverberation time means number of reflection per second like this. So if I ask you what is the cognitive level of this outcome, sorry, what is the cognitive level of this outcome? The cognitive level of this outcome is called analysis level, because determine is an action verb which is related to the analysis. That's why I'm saying once you develop the entire curricula in outcome-based framework, that can act as a course file for your NBA. And once you develop that things, you know the cognitive level of the outcome. So once I know the cognitive level of the course outcome CO1, so it is determined. Which PO is analysis level? PO number 2. So I can say that this course outcome is directly related to the PO2. Okay, that's why if it is directly related, I put weight vector 3. If it is partially related, I put weight vector 2. If it is very small amount of relation is there, then I put weight vector 1. Okay, so if I say that, then I said this is determined analysis level, that's why it is matched with PO2 is 3. Matched with PO1, because once they are able to determine, they are able to solve also. That's why I put 2. Similarly for CO2, this is the list and design. So list, it is 2, it is design level. So list is the knowledge level and design is synthesis level. Which one is synthesis level? PO3, design a process or part of a process. So it is related to directly PO3. And once they have to design, they have to analyze it and they have to solve it also. So I put some weight vector on that PO2 and PO1 also. Then I said, since I am teaching this course in a outcome-based curricula, so my class is interactive. That's why while I am developing this skill, I am developing their communication skill, their individual teamwork, and their self-learning ability also. Sometimes I can say I am developing their ethics also. So that's why I put 1, 1, 1. So this is called course matrix. When you develop your entire course, all of you have to develop this course matrix first. Okay? So this is called course matrix. Once the course matrix is developed, then you go for the program matrix. Same thing. Instead of course CO, here it will be replaced by the course number. Yes, this is my course number. Then it is 9, but its score is 3 plus 2 plus 3, 8. So PO2, my course is mapping with PO2 8 by 9. That means more than 70%. So I am defining, if my course is satisfy the PO with more than 70%, I'll put weight vector 3. If it is 30 to 70%, I'll put weight vector 2. If it is 10 to 30%, I'll put weight vector 1. That you written down first. Then you said, since it is PO2 is matched, then I said it is 3. PO1 5 by 8, that's why it is 2. And all other PO is 10 to 30%, that's why 1. Then you take another course, then you take another course. So that way you developing your program matrix. Clear? So that is called program matrix development. and first one is called course matrix development. COPO mapping. Okay. Now I quickly cover, when you write down your course outcome, what kind of things you should not write. If you see this kind of course outcome, you should not write. AC DC power measurement compare, induction motor operate, solve torque equation of IM, synchronous generator illustrate, evaluate the circuits. Those are not course outcome. It's clear? Then, not learner centric, to provide student necessary background to analyze language processor. This kind of it is not an outcome. It is not student centric. It is teacher centric. Apply the basic concept of electronics. Apply Newton's second law of motion is not an outcome. It is using Newton's second law of motion. But what they have to do, given a force and acceleration, calculate the mass using second law of motion is actually outcome. So do not write this kind of outcome. Then there will be sometimes you write outcome like this. My course is very fundamental level, so I write down the introduction level outcome. Define big data and analytics is my course outcome. This cannot be your course outcome. If this is your course outcome, you cannot map this outcome with any one of the PO. So this course is not required then. Okay? So your course outcome, if it is BTech engineering level, cannot be knowledge and comprehension level. It should be start from application analysis and synthesis level. Clear? So tomorrow when you write down the course outcome, think on it. Then if you see cognitive level is not correct, apply that what I said, apply basic law of EM wave is not application level. Actually this is not application. Application is that what they will do with those laws, that is application. Then there is a cognitive level is not proper, then there is a, this is already done, then it comes to here, not specific. Many times we write down outcome, compute different parameter like this, EM wave, like that way. Different, such as, various, basic. Those words cannot be part of any outcome. Because those words are not specific words. Something is basic to you, maybe advanced to me. Something is basic to me, maybe advanced to you. So instead of writing basic, you write down what exactly you want to mean. Instead of write the different, you exactly write down how many you cover in your course. So that's why course outcome is not a single line statement. It can be a paragraph, but it should be specific, measurable and achievable. It should be specific, measurable and achievable. Okay? Not achievable. Determine, suppose you have written a determine dynamic force in engineering mechanics. It's a very open-ended statement. It cannot be an outcome. Sometimes we write that. Solve second order, solve differential equation. It's not an outcome. Although this is a performance component, but there is no condition component and criteria component. That's why it is not specific, not achievable. So when you write down the outcome, whether it is course outcome, module outcome, unit outcome, it must be specific, measurable and achievable. Unless it cannot be outcome. Because since it is learner-centric, unless the goal is clearly defined, how the learner will learn? So to enable the learner, you have to clearly define the goal. That is very much important. So how do you define the goal? It is the task of the teacher. As a teacher, I am teaching this course. I should able to write down at the end of the course what students will able to do and which will in line with requirement for a engineering students. Just a minute. Hello, hello. Just can I call you just 5 minutes after, because I am taking a class. Okay, so this is the when you write down the outcome tomorrow, you just look at this. So is there any questions on COPO mapping and outcome based education? Because I will do shifted to another topic. That's why asking questions. If you have any questions, then you can ask either in chat or in turn off your mic, on your mic, and ask me.
Actually, sir, some questions is there. I just unmute one by one. First, Sanjukta Sahu. Sanjukta Sahu, you unmute yourself and say whatever your questions. Satish Kumar. Yeah, sir, you can say your question. Venkata Raman. Sir.
Anybody has any doubt, you can ask, because I will shift it to another topic after that. Tomorrow, all of you have to write down your course outcome in the software. One of you will act as a institute representative and you will register all the program. All of you have to register your course in the respective program and write down your course outcome. Those who are taking the basic science course and first year students course or common course for the all engineering discipline, you can add as a program called first year program, first year courses, and under that you can write down your course.
Dr. Rajesh Kumar, please ask.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good
Yes,
Good evening, sir.
yes.
Sir, in the writing of CO, we can use two action verb in one CO.
Yes, more than one is possible. No problem. Even not only two, even five also doesn't matter. But it has to be tagged the highest cognitive level action verb. I have like
Okay.
one. There is two action verb. One is called list, another is called design. Since
Okay,
list
okay.
knowledge level, designing highest cognitive level. That's why tag that action outcome as a synthesis level, not knowledge.
Okay. Sir, understanding word can be used in CO.
Which one?
Understand.
Understand is not measurable. That's
Okay.
why understand cannot be the only measurable verbs are called action verbs. Understand, know.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Maybe sir have internet issues.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Sir, not audible.
No, sir. Sir is not audible, sir.
Sir, I think sir have rejoined.
Yes.
Yes.
It was disconnected, but again connected.
Yes, sir.
Ask questions.
Not issue.
Any questions?
Dr. Rajesh, sir?
No, yes sir, yes ma'am, हो गए सर.
Okay, okay.
Okay, all clear. So now can I go for the next part?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay, so next part is I'll discuss about the attainment. How do you calculate the attainment? Okay, so attainment of your program outcome and course outcome. That is your topic. No, that sometime we said that how do I calculate the attainment? Okay, before attainment, I think, are you know assessment and evaluation? Anything on assessment and evaluation? I think not. So let's first cover assessment and evaluation. Then I'll cover that this portion. Just a minute.
இப்பலாமா பவுன் அங்க தூங்கிடுச்சா
Okay. So assessment and evaluation. The topic is assessment and evaluation. If I ask you what is assessment and what is evaluation, the assessment and evaluation is not exactly same. Most of your answer will be assessment is the end same exam is called assessment, mid same exam is called assessment, evaluation, and class test is assessment. It is not true. The all exam, whatever is the exam, whether it is class test, whether it is quiz, whether it is mid-sem, whether it is internal, whether it is lab viva, all are called assessment. So definition of assessment is a procedure to gather data about students' competence. So if you want to know how much is the students competent, the process of gathering data is called assessment. Then what is evaluation? Based on the assessed data, when you quantify the students' performance, then it is called evaluation. So that means you said, oh, you 80%, or it is 90%, it is 70%. What do you mean by 80%, 90%, 70%? That is called evaluation. So based on the assessed data, when you quantify the students' performance, then it is called evaluation. So assessment and evaluation. So assessment is the tools, evaluation is the result. So assessment is the tools for data collection, and based on the data, when you quantify the students' performance or students' competence, then we call that is evaluation. So before you designing your evaluation means you have to design the weight vector for different assessment. Somebody said the end semester 30 marks, mid semester 50 marks. Why? How you define that weight vector? Class test 10 marks. Why you take class test 10 marks? So all those things are very much, there is nothing called thumb rule. Your end semester must be 30 marks, your mid semester must be 40 marks, class test must be 20 marks. It not depends on that. It all are depends on criteria, what subject you want to teach. So there is a lot of questions on assessment. Assessment process, I am not going to that. Assessment. So if I say mid semester, when I take the mid semester, end semester, when I take the end semester, if I say lab viva, if I ask you why you take lab viva, What is the purpose for lab viva? Why you take class test? What is the purpose for class test? What questions we ask in the lab viva? What questions I should ask in the class test? What question I should ask in the mid semester? If student does not answer it, what is the problem? What kind of feedback as a teacher I should take? So all kinds of questions are there in assessment and evaluation. That is called function of assessment. Then validity and reliability. Many people say, oh, this question is this year I will make a very tough question. This year I will make a very easy question so that every student gives answer. Both the cases, your question paper is invalid. So how do you define the validity of the test item? Then the reliability. What is reliability? Reliability means if a machine performs over the time interval, same performance is given by the machine, then I say the machine is very much reliable. So the validity and reliability. Reliability means same performance over the time interval. If I today take an exam, if a student got 80% marks, if I take the same exam after 2 weeks, am I sure that students will get 80% marks? If it is not, then what is the reliability of your test? So all kind of validity, reliability, if a student got 2 marks or student got 0 marks, what interpretation I should make? All kinds of things are there in assessment and evaluation. But in outcome-based education, we call that 2 types of assessment. One is called formative assessment, one is called summative assessment. So what is summative? In both the cases, my assessment is criteria based. Assessment is criteria based. What are the criteria? When I certifying the students, means when I evaluating the students, my criteria are the course outcome. Suppose I have write down 6 course outcome. If the students reach out of 6 achieve 5, then what is the competence of the students? 5 by 6% into 100%. So course outcome give me the criteria. The assessment process, whether it is mid-sem, end-sem or assignment or class test, cannot be part of evaluation. Class test cannot be part of evaluation. The evaluation is the certifying the students about the course competence. That means if I write down 6 course outcome and out of 6 outcome, let's 2 course outcome I have tested in mid-sem, 3 I have tested in end-sem, and 1 can be tested by assignment only. So all those process is called assessment method. Once a student achieves the outcome, then I certify the competence. But that is not the end of the job of the teachers. When you teach a course, after seeing the providing the marks on the answer script, it is not your job is over. You have to find out which kinds of questions students make the maximum mistakes. On the other hand, I can say, suppose you find that 80% of the students are failed in outcome number 2. Then as a teacher, what feedback you should take? As a teacher, I can say the outcome 2 is not achievable, or the teaching learning process which I have used to develop the outcome 2 is not effective.
Again, sir is disconnected.
Sorry everyone for the interruption. I think we have lost our connection with sir again. We are trying our level best to reach him out as soon as possible. Sir, are you there?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir. Please continue.
It was disconnected and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not an issue. Please continue.
so this is this concept I have to complete it because this is visible.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Visible. Okay. So now what I said that okay. So I said this is teacher reinforcement. So after your end sem or mid sem, whatever the semester exam is over, you are taking those exams for only for evaluating purpose, like evaluating the students. And after the exam, you find out most of the students get only 60% marks. So time has gone because you cannot correct that batch because they have already completed the courses. So to avoid this kind of phenomena, there must be a periodic assessment. But that is not part of evaluation. Periodic assessment is to find out students' misconception and provide remedial lessons. So when you say I'm taking a class test, most of the time, how do you take the class test? Okay, tomorrow I'll take a class test, 15 marks. So you write down two questions, student answers, oh, you got 7 marks, you got 6 marks. That is not purpose of the class test. Class test is to find out students' misconception. The concept you have teach in the week, you may design a class test question to test whether the students have developed that concept or not. And find out what are the possible misconceptions they have developed. For example, suppose if I say 2 to the power 3, the possible misconceptions are some students can add these two numbers, some students can multiply these two numbers, some students can give the correct answer. So my purpose of the class test is that to find out those students who are adding these two numbers. Then I identify they have this misconception. As a teacher, I have to provide remedial lessons to remove their misconceptions. So class test that's why class test, quiz, all are called formative assessment. They are not summative assessment. So class test cannot be part of your evaluation purpose. Is clear? So what is assessment? What is evaluation? How to design your question paper? As if I design questions for only evaluate the students, then it should be criteria based, and criteria is outcome of my course. If it is assessment is for students' misconception identification, then I'll ask the questions to the students which related to the concept I have teach in the class. And I have to think that what students can give the answer, what kind of misconception they can give the answer. It is not that, okay, I will design a question today, none of them can answer it. Not like that. So there is a clear separation between the assessment and evaluation. There is a clear plan for evaluation assessment and a clear plan for formative assessment, which is for periodic assessment, which is used for find out students' misconception to provide remedial lessons. That's why I'm saying examination is not only provide marks to the students. Examination has a lot of things to do. Next class, tomorrow I'll explain. Sometime we call this question is very easy, this question is very difficult. How do you say that this question is very easy? How do you say this question is very difficult? Those things I will cover tomorrow lecture. Okay? So today I will stop here. Tomorrow I will cover the test item analysis, then attainment of your course goal, attainment calculation, and then I will discuss some of the course which you have developed. We will open one by one and discuss why we should write down this, why we should not write down this. Okay? Thank you. Now, if you have any questions, then you can ask.
Kumar Pal Singh, he have lowered his hand. Sir, Venkataraman SR, he have some question. I'm unmuting him. Venkataraman sir, are you there? You have raised your hand.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir, in our institute,
Hmm.
while we were going for NBA accreditation,
Hmm.
so in old syllabus, they were design 14 COs for one subject.
Hmm.
And for mapping purpose, they were used to say that the 14 should be optimized to 5 or 7 COs.
Yes.
So is it valid procedure or not?
Yes, because see what I said, how much COs would be there? The 4 to 6 CO, because course outcome are the major takeaway by the students. You cannot write down the 14 course outcome because it is not possible. The outcome which can be achieved by 1 or 2 lectures is not major outcome. So that cannot be part of the course outcome.
Okay.
The outcome which can be achieved by at least 6 or 7 lectures, that can be part of the outcome. So I cannot write down the outcome which will achieve by 3 lectures as a course outcome. It may be as a module outcome is correct, but not course outcome. Course outcome are the major outcome from the course. So that's why it is 4 to 6 outcome is sufficient for 40-hour lecture course. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Anyone else who want to ask something to sir?
To ask questions?
Geeta Ramesh.
Good evening.
Yes.
Sir, we are from, I'm Dr. Geeta from PH Krishnamal College. We are college. We have a NAC accreditation process. How to define in NAC, there is no definition for PO, PSO. How to define for our arts and science college courses?
No, in that case, it is not required that you have to define PO and PSO. That is not required. You have to develop your each and every courses in outcome-based curriculum. Each and every courses as a department. Suppose you are offering a course on you are offering a general degree course.
The UG and PG course.
A UG and PG course means science.
Arts and science college. Sir.
Arts and science colleges. So suppose somebody do a physics honors.
Okay.
Now, as a physics honors graduate, what kind of skill you want to develop?
But for MBA, you having 12 POs to define. But in
But nothing is there in NAC. That is, I agree with that. But as a group of teachers, can you develop that as a physics undergraduate student? He must have this skill.
Okay.
That is your PO.
So we can follow what the NBA is following.
You can follow that also. The solving ability, analyzing ability. But the main idea is that you have to develop each course in outcome-based curriculum.
Fine.
For teaching purpose, not for the accuracy.
Only I can
Required by the student, not by the authority.
Yes, sir. Very informative. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next one.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in continuation with the previous caller's question,
Yes.
in NAC, they say that we will get a more amount of marks in case if we are going to revise the syllabus periodically. If we change like that, so the program outcome and course outcome has to be keep on changing, which will disturb the morality of the teacher as well as the students, right?
No.
What is your opinion about it, sir?
No, you can say that, see, this is for course file. Suppose this batch, I have a course outcome, something. Now, since the technology has changed, next batch may not be exposed to the same course outcome. The course outcome may be changed for the next batch. And I have to have a record that because of this kind of requirement from the industry came, that's why this kind of outcome we should not taught because those are obsolete. That is much more scientific than the 5-year course should be same. It cannot be. It depends, totally depends on what kind of graduate we want to produce. Suppose somebody is teaching a course on automobile engineering and he teaches a model which is 1986 model. Can I say that he is teaching automobile engineering? He cannot teach 1986 model as a course. He may say, no, my syllabus is not revised. What do you mean by syllabus? Syllabus is come from the requirement. It is not experts to decide the syllabus. Syllabus will decide by what kind of manpower required by the society. So that kind of modification is required.
Venkataraman sir, do you want to ask something? You have raised your hand. Venkataraman sir, you there? So I think he is not there. Dr. Rajesh Kumar, he have also raised his hand.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Go on.
Sir,
Chris.
I have one question about the attainment. How to set the target for attainment?
Attainment tomorrow I will cover. Attainment, how to calculate the attainment. But target of the attainment is nothing but a course outcome. You have to measure whether the student has attained the course outcome or not. If a student attained the course outcome, attainment is made. Tomorrow I'll show you how to mathematically calculate the attainment.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Bhaskar Roy, if you want to ask something.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I want to ask in the course outcome versus PO versus CO mapping, some numbers are there that is 0. So whether we are considering the 0 while we are taking the average, or we are excluding the 0?
No. If you consider the 0, then your threshold has to be changed in your program matrix. You can say that simply dash. If you consider the 0, then see, this is nothing but a mathematical process. If you consider the 0, then your distribution will come some sort of a lower side, no? Then you have to make the threshold value that way. If you not consider the 0, then you have to make the threshold value that way. What I am saying is that suppose I am writing a 4 course outcome. If all 4 are 100% match with particular PO, that means that PO related to this course is maximum. So that should get weight vector 3. So you have to define. My proposition is that you put 0 and take the average. That will also very good for making the normal. When you make the matrices, it will give you the better visibility.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Sir, I think one more is there in queue.
Okay.
Raghavendra Patidar. Mr. Raghavendra, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, if you want to ask something.
Sir, I want to ask about the difference between PSO, program specific.
Okay. Can you repeat the question? Your audio is not clear.
Sir, I want to ask about the difference of PO and PSO.
PO and PSO. Is it correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
PO, what I said that 1 to 5 is called domain dependent PO. So when 1 to 5 adopts for electronics, it is become PSO. So 1 to 5 is also PSO, and 1 or 2 outcome, 1 or 2 dimension you have to end after 12. So you write PO1 to PO12, then PSO1 and PSO2. So PSO1 and 2 is your emphasized area of the department. What I said, Institute A has an electronics department, Institute B also has an electronics department. Institute A has a setup which is a very good setup for microwave engineering. So they will write down their PSO towards microwave engineering. What is the specialty of your program? Institute B will write maybe specialty in VLSI design. So they will write down PSO in towards VLSI design.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes,
so
sir,
those of the X 1 to 5 is also PSO because that depends on the domain. And next one is the dimension or specialty of the program. That's why I added that one. Okay?
Yes, sir. Right, sir. Thank you.
Okay?
Yes, sir. I think no one is there.
So tomorrow at 4 o'clock, not 5 o'clock. Today I have a meeting, that's why 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Tomorrow again at 4 o'clock, okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving your precious time. The overall session was very much informative, and think all our participants got benefited throughout the session. Till tomorrow, we will meet again, as sir said, on 4 p.m. sharp. So till then, everyone, stay healthy.
We are going to ask because there is a very much network problem. It may be
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
maybe
I know, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Because it is disconnected many times.
Yes, sir. I know. We all are having the same issue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, all our participants.
Thank
Thank you. We will meet you tomorrow.